Thank you, Nighthawk, and welcome to Plato's Cave on WZZR, coming to you from Australia, the land down under, for Revolution Radio on Revolution.radio, the fastest hour in the week, as the show has been called. Plato's Cave, the fastest hour of the week. That's right. I didn't make that up. People have called it that. We are home to fresh ideas, or if not fresh, warmed up, microwaved, a little sticky, but still good to eat, and hopefully we'll give you something to smile about, and maybe you might learn something. That would be good. Different perspectives and all that. What? I want confirmation bias. I don't want to be told other things. That's no good to me. Now, the station doesn't actually receive any money from anyone but you. That's right, you. I'm talking to you, Bob. It wouldn't be funny if there's a Bob person here like, oh, Mickey knows I'm listening. Anyway, point is, no one is giving the station money except the listeners. And if you can't, as a listener, that's okay. Because things are tough. And they're not getting easier, I can tell you that. So maybe you can tell people on the station. If you tell people, it means that they can donate, hopefully, maybe. Maybe get some rich friends. I wish I had rich friends. I know people that know rich people. Does that count? Not really. But yeah, look, if you can tell people about the station, about the shows, maybe one of those good folk can donate. That's important. Word of mouth, grassroots campaigns, etc., etc., etc. Today is the 12th of October, 2023. Also my mother's birthday, and she recently passed away. So this is her first birthday without her. Well, that's the truth, and that's just the way things happen in the world. All the Muppets are still here, but the people closest and dearest to you, they are going. That's what happens. You can catch the cave on the air, on the line, and on your smarty device. It's Smarty Pants device. Your device. Actually, it is Smarty Pants now. It's smarter than you. Hey, it's getting there. It's getting there. So, grab an app to listen. Anyway, there's so many apps now. There's so many apps. There's a plethora of apps. A cornucopia.
That's apps. A lot of apps.
That's a lot of apps. Anyway, you can listen at home as well on a Grace at Tabletop Digital Radio. Whoa. It's true. It's a fact. Also, you can access the archives for free. If that's not a reason to donate, then I don't know what is. Free archives? Yeah, that's right. Brew up your coffee, tea, or whatever else you drink and sit down and listen in. Before we start broadcasting, no, that's Mackie's mom. Comment? Mackie talking. I know we sound so alike. Yes.
Don't we?
Scary. It's Mackie's mom,
but
thanks, Comet. Nonetheless, appreciate it. Before we start broadcasting at you in anger, which we will do, because if we did it any other way, you just wouldn't like it. We would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land from which we broadcast, and for Dave,
yeah, who's Narara, it's the Darkinjung.
Thank you, Narara, who sounds just like Mackie, which is I. And for me, of course, it is the Darak people here in today, very, very, very hot Hamilway. Mid-30s, which is about mid-80s, I think, thereabouts, for you American folk. And we would like to pay our respects to elders, past, present, and future. Thank you very much. There he is, the lost son, the return. Let us fatten the calves and let us have a feast for he who has returned, the widow's son. Will no one help the widow's son? What? What is Mackie talking about? I don't know. I just talk. It's just what happens. Anyway, how are you traveling?
Oh, I'll tell you that the COVID just keeps striking. I don't have it, but the side effects, that almost narcolepsy at about 2:00 in the afternoon.
I hear you.
Right. I've now got a cough, which I never had before. I did my back while I had it, and I'm just struggling. This time I didn't get the brain fog like I did the other times. But because my brain is sharp, believe it or not. But I think...
You just had it sharpened, everybody. Stand back.
I do believe it's affected me in the other ways, though. So it's very strange.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I do.
Even though that description was extremely vague.
No. But that's the thing, right? And this is the insidious thing. It's a little bit like Morgelson's disease in many ways, or Ross River fever, or chronic fatigue syndrome, really, which people don't believe exists. It exists. It's a thing. Trust me on that. But this thing here, look, I'm pretty fit for my age. I actually am, right? And riding a bike and all that is all part of what I do. It's getting a lot harder. And it has been a lot harder. It's noticeably harder. And I'm out of breath a lot quicker. Nothing has changed physically with me, except COVID. And fatigue sets in. I'm a night owl. I stay up late.
Yeah.
That's just what I do, right? And then, I get up pretty early too, which is weird, but nonetheless, here we are.
I know, like in my house, I sleep the least out of everybody.
Yeah, that's the truth. That is the truth. Which is good, because apparently I snore like a sawmill. But I'm getting one of those mouthpieces, because I don't believe in that whole mask thing, but I'll get a mouthpiece.
I've just been given one of those stop grinding your teeth things. Looks like a footballer would wear. Yeah. And look, let's say I certainly don't snore like I used to.
Oh, good. Great.
But because I had my nose cauterized, it now has a stupid whistle.
Tick tock, tick tock.
I know, that's right. The crocodile. Yeah,
that's the one.
Mackie, when you were... I've got to say this really funny thing, because when you were reading the intro, I could not peel away your words from my imagination. And I was hearing, and Saint Attila raised the hand grenade upon high, saying, "O Lord, bless this thy hand grenade, that with it thou mayest blow thine enemies to tiny bits in thy mercy." Wait, I haven't finished. "And the Lord did grin, and the people did feast upon the lambs and the sloths and the carps and the anchovies and orangutans and breakfast cereals and fruit bars and large..." That's all I could hear. In my head, that's what I'm hearing.
Oh, that's gold. If you have never watched a Monty Python movie in your life, you haven't lived. So your homework is, everybody, to watch at least one Monty Python movie.
And I quoted from Holy Grail, which is tremendous.
Yes, you did. Funny. Yes, he did. But since we are there, okay, let's be there for a little while, Dave, because I like it there. I like it there. I live there. I've got a vacation home. I go there. Whenever I need to. It's my happy place. And the genius.
Yeah.
And I mean it. In a true sense of the word, the genius that these guys had. There's a core of 5 or 6.
That's
six
right.
people. 5 or 6
the
people.
Pythons.
Right? Yeah. The writing, the acting, the execution of the I guess the narrative, the jokes, it all hangs together, though. You see, and the comedy, the deep comedies in the dialogue, and the faces and the reactions of people. It is truly, in my opinion, comedy gold. It's for the ages too. And if you have never experienced it, and some of it might seem completely surreal and silly and way over the top, right? But let it sink in. Let it sink in, because it's worth it. And then there might be, parts you like, there might be parts that you hate, but there will be parts that you love. I guarantee it. It doesn't really matter which, and it comes out of left field at you. And if you haven't seen the Holy Grail, it's
Come to see the violence inherent in the system.
See, he's oppressing me. I'm being oppressed. I'm not a woman.
Old
but-
woman, man.
I'm 32.
I'm hardly old. Could
But-
have called me Dennis. I didn't know your name was Dennis.
You didn't ask.
You didn't ask.
Look,
Please let him in haste. Whose castle is this?
we don't make comedy like this anymore, ever. Like in the last 20, sorry, actually, you know what? In the last 30 years, I want to say, we haven't made comedy like this. I don't know why. And it's a British brand of comedy. It is. It's very British. You know, or maybe even more English. It's an English brand of comedy. Very clever. And when I say we haven't made anything like it, yes, there are things that are similar, like, you know, Blackadder and others. But it's not the same. And Blackadder was funny, but never surreal. Blackadder was clever and smart and deep, but never left field, really. I mean, some things were, you know, whereas Monty Python was always left field. And the ideas were just sparkling. Remember the two skyscrapers fighting each other? That was just brilliant.
That's right.
I thought, anyway, right? Hostile Takeovers, the pirates and all that. I thought that was just, you know, really, really cool. But see, we grew up with this, Dave and I, in our generation, even in Germany, because it was all dubbed into German, you know, which lost some of its effectiveness. But once I saw the English version, I thought, oh, geez, yeah, it's better in the original. It's still funny. Don't get me wrong, but it was of the time. It is timeless, but it was of the time. And this kind of stuff, there would be no way they would get away with half the stuff they did.
Yeah.
Today's sensibilities and sensitivities and stupidities have gotten so far that you can't do comedy like this anymore. Do you know, Dave? Sorry, I'm digressing slightly. You probably wouldn't be able to make Harry Potter today.
No, that's true.
Okay.
Can't do that.
And in fact, you couldn't make any Arnie movie, any Stallone movie, none of those today. You could not do it. James Bond with Sean Connery.
That's right out.
That's not even a contender.
No, in fact, you couldn't even do Gilligan's Island.
No, you couldn't. You could not.
Because there's emotional and physical abuse from the captain to Gilligan.
It's nuts.
Can you fathom that for a minute? So this is what gets me, right? I know that we can't make, it's not Pineapple Express, it's the other one, with the actors of being filmed in the wild for real, but they think it's just a set in the bush in war.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Yeah. I know, right? Jack Black and
yeah. Of course.
Yeah. But anyway, you can't do that movie again because someone was in blackface.
I know. They're coming to America.
You can't do that.
Because you can't do if you can't do one, you can't do the other, right?
No, that's right. Remember the stand on one leg and jump and bark like a dog?
Oh.
You can't do that.
Good luck to you. That's like 5 discriminations rolled into one for you.
That's right. I think we got bingo on that one.
Have you ever watched Fort Fairlane?
Yes.
Good luck making that movie today.
Yeah.
She got the bonus plan. Oh yeah. No, I mean, look, this is really interesting because I had this conversation with someone else the other day as well, right? Because the question is, how far do we want to take this? Yes, it will swing back, but how far can we take this now? We are now at the precipice of a new age. The age of gray. I call it the blurred age. Why? Well, because there are no longer any certainties, Dave.
It's beige, Mickey.
We live in the age of beige.
It's beige.
It's beige. Why? Because when I look, and this is going to sound terrible, I have to say it for context. When I was born, right, you were born a man or a woman, girl, boy, whatever. That was at birth, unless you were one of those rare cases where it wasn't quite easy to determine. And those cases exist. It's a reality. It's the truth.
Yeah, hermaphrodites.
It's a small,
that's right.
Yeah, it's a small number of people, but it's a reality. And more power to those people as well, because it's a natural expression of the human condition. But for the most part, we were categorized into boys and girls because that's the biology of it. I didn't really. I'll be honest. I didn't really think about my sexuality as a child. I didn't. I'm a boy, and they're girls, and if you play with girls, you get girl germs. I still like girls. I like playing with them. Secretly, in my inner secret, sanctum, I would admit to myself that I wanted to play with girls and I like them, etc., etc. But of course, if they touch you, then you get all kinds of germs, and you run away and you scream. But I never was conflicted about. Am I a boy? Am I a girl? It didn't occur to me. I'll be honest with you. It didn't occur to me, right? I'm sure that people that are conflicted and they were oppressed. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And we should allow them to express themselves. But we've gone the other way, where we're now pushing it on children. Prepubescent children, we're putting sexual identification, which is a complete nonsense. I mean, seriously, come on, people. Is this what... In fact, I had another conversation around this where pedophilia is now being touted as, well, it's just another expression of love, isn't it? It's just another expression of love. No, it isn't. There's some things, and we spoke about this before, Dave, right? There's some things that
my uncle in the boat shed at summer holidays, yeah.
talk to the man in the trench coat in the park. What? Who how'd you know about him?
What don't I know?
That's right. But no, seriously though, if you take a step back, right, there are certain things that are, I don't want to say wrong, because it gives you value judgment. They sit not well with you. They disturb. There you go. They disturb you. There are certain things that are disturbing to you. I don't want to call it wrong or right or anything, but it disturbs your peace. Maybe whatever, you're calm. There's a disturbance in the force, Luke. And killing is one, torturing small animals or anything really.
It rubs
bullying.
its lotion on its skin, or it gets the hose again.
And do you know what the funny thing about bullying is? It disturbs both the person that's being bullied and the bully. Because I, to my shame, I admit that I've been both. And it is deeply shameful to think about the bullying, even as it happens. But there's something that pushes you. It's the oddest thing into
the bully.
Yeah,
in my experience, Becky, the bullies themselves have been bullied,
yes,
or are under emotional stress.
Correct.
Outside of the situation that you've faced them in. Correct.
You're 100% correct. And I look back at my bullies, and I look at the bullying that I did, and it was a knock-on effect, right? But now I look at the bullies with my adult eyes, I guess, and I see their pain, and I understand. And now I'm thinking, well, maybe their home life wasn't that great, and maybe the bullying was the only part of their life where they had a modicum of control.
That's where they had their control, absolutely.
Yeah. But the point though is that we do have intrinsically this knowledge of that which is disturbing to us. Cannibalism, again, pedophilia, killing is disturbing to most people. It is to most people that have normal brain chemistry. Killing is not easy. Do you know, Dave, that in war, if you send people out to war and they fight each other and they're shooting at each other from a distance, only a very small fraction of people shooting is actually aiming. Okay? Most are not aiming. Not because they're bad shots necessarily, but because subconsciously, maybe, I don't know, they don't want to kill anyone. The killing only becomes a necessity or reality if it truly is down to close combat. Like in close quarter combat, people are forced to kill, right? But if it's at a distance, a lot of people will choose not to kill. Okay? That's why people are being trained for such a long time before they become soldiers. That's why fresh recruits, as it were, are completely useless. Right?
They're being trained not to think, but just to obey an order.
To do, yes, sir.
To do. That's exactly right, sir. Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Don't. They look. If you've been in the military and you've gone through it, most countries have what's called basic training.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go into whatever branch, or you go into wherever you are, and then you get more training. But what it does, the intent of it is to reduce you to your most basic self, to cut away all the things that make you you. You know, they shave your head. They don't want you to stand out in any specific way. They want you to be just like the next person in all respects possible, right? That's why they also have you marching. Why do you march? What's the point of marching? You don't. I mean, that marching, it's not running. It's marching. Well, the point of marching is to make you part of an organism.
Mm-hmm.
You're now part of a greater whole. I mean, it's impressive to watch people march that really know what they're doing. Have you look at the Chinese, the Koreans, right? North Koreans. Look at the Russians.
You're also, Becky. You're also part of a shared experience.
100%, right? So, and as callous as this may sound, the organism can exist, with certain parts of it no longer being there, right? That can happen, right? So that's what it's all about: stripping away you, rebuilding you, turning you as close into a killing machine as possible. There are three. I think we talked about this. There are a number of different types of people that go to war, right? People that are going to war and they're shocked and they're hated, but they come back damaged, right?
Mm-hmm.
Other people they go to war, they manage not to get as damaged, they manage to adjust to normal life again afterwards, and then there are people that come back the same way they left because they loved it. This is great. This is awesome.
Where do we get the guns? Not until you tell me your first name.
Oh man, I'm feeling oppressed. Rules are fathers. I love the Armed and Dangerous. That was just brilliant. John Candy was one of my favorite actors. But it is, by the way, Dave was just channeling Armed and Dangerous. Not until I get your first name. Or was it Police Academy that you were channeling there? Because, sorry,
Simpsons did it.
They did it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, beautiful. I guess it's a running joke through the Comedy Central shows. But the thing is that we are not built to kill from the get-go. We're not really. You look at kids playing in the playground, young children that haven't been conditioned at all in any way. And there could be any color, any creed, doesn't really matter. They play together quite peacefully. I mean, there might be conflict, sure enough. Oh, you took my car, But the conflict is over with very quickly. And they're quite happy to either play alongside each other or, if they get older, to play with each other. Cooperation and all that are our natural traits.
That's children with empathy, let's just put it that way.
Correct. Now, again, there are different cases, and there's a small percentage of people that are just not like that, and that's okay. Right? But by and large, that's what it is. That's why it takes so long to train soldiers. They don't do it to make your life harder. It's not all about fitness. It's about making you ready to kill.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's a great science fiction story. This colony, right, was forgotten for a long time, and then one day, the Earth Imperials come back, and they say, "Oh, you're part of the Earth Empire, and for generations they've lived on this planet by themselves. No conflict, right? They haven't got police. There's no army. It's only a few of them, but there's nothing, and it quite disturbs the Earth Imperials, right? And then they say, "Oh, we have to be like the Earth Imperials, otherwise, they won't like us." So they try to be like the Earth Imperials. So they built the Red Schoolhouse and all these things they have from the old books, what they think Earth Imperials would like. Well, we also need a killer. What do you mean? Well, in all the old Earth books, there have been killers, so we need a killer. Oh, geez, okay. Who do we kill? Oh, I don't know. So they decide to kill one of the Earth Imperials, one of the soldiers from the spaceship. Boy. And they get this guy to kill him, right? Because they think he's the most qualified of all to kill him. Now, to cut a long story short, they fail miserably, right? And the commander of the Earth Imperials goes, "What are we trying to do? And the mayor says, look, we've really tried real hard to be like Earth Imperials. So look, we built the red schoolhouse and the barn and this and that, but we didn't have any murders, any crime. So we got this guy over here who is our fisherman because he kills fish, right? So we thought if anybody could kill anyone, it'd be our fisherman. But of course he couldn't. And the soldiers start whispering to each other, and the commander looks at the colonists, and is quite disturbed, and they all run back to the ship. What do you mean you couldn't kill anyone? So off they go, and the mayor says, "Oh, don't worry, Bob, the fisherman. You tried your best. I guess Earth is just not going to pay us much attention now. Because we just not like them." And the fisherman goes, "I'm so sorry that everybody did that. I'm really, really sorry." And it was sincere. Like actually, they're not being sarcastic. They're quite sincere. I really tried to kill him, but the point I'm making here is right. Unless you really, really, really train somebody to kill people, and it takes a lot of desensitization for that. Ideally, what you do, and I'll get to talk about it in a second, you try to make the enemy non-human. That's the best. You dehumanize the enemy, and that makes it a lot easier to kill whatever is put in front of you. But most people just aren't built that way, right? Now, what we see right now, and we're going to go there, Dave. Gaza,
I'm
right?
prepared. I'm prepared.
There are now 300,000 Israeli soldiers preparing to march into Gaza.
On the border.
300,000. Now, what has happened, and I spoke about this at length on Tuesday, but what happened over the last few days is completely unprecedented in its ferocity, planning, and Israel's complete unpreparedness. It's never happened before. I was talking about not necessarily false flag, but allowing it to happen, right? Because there's no way the Mossad and other security services would not have known about it. And in fact, Egypt is saying, I think Egypt or Syria, I think it's Egypt. Egypt said, we warned you, Israel. We warned you something was coming, right? But I think they wanted it to happen. Because
it's their Pearl Harbor making.
Bingo. Because now what Netanyahu is saying, and by the way, they formed a unity government now, right, in Israel, which that's a really rare thing in Israel. And he said, we will not let a single Hamas soldier live. Now, apparently 1,500 Hamas fighters died. There's probably another 1,500, 2,000 Israelis, another 1,500, 2,000 Palestinian civilians. So the death toll sits around 6,000 at the moment, right? But this is the thing. It was an extremely well-executed attack. You can, any which way you look at it. Barbaric, yes, and ruthless and all these things, but it was extremely well executed, and it was shock and awe. It was a shocking attack that took Israel completely by surprise, so they say. But it certainly took the people that were killed by surprise. Hamas would not throw away 1,500 fighters unless there was something else. Because they know that this kind of attack provokes a response. There cannot be no response.
You can't walk away from this and go, thanks for yeah, cool. Thanks for exposing all the weak points. Yeah, good for you.
Yeah. I think Fleeced Surf is right. But it is really important to understand that there are no naive players in this. Hamas knew what they were doing. The question is why. So they're inviting this catastrophic, and it's catastrophic for the inhabitants of Gaza. They're inviting this catastrophic response to this horrendous attack. I mean, effective, really effective, but horrendous. And they lost 1,500 fighters in the process.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter in the big shape of things, right? So I'm just going to say, I've been examining the footage, and I can see M16s, which are American military guns, and on the Hamas side. And it looks like it came from the Afghanistan exit. Remember all the stuff they left behind?
That's exactly right.
So it's, really? So, it's going to happen, right? It's going to come around and bite you. So, look, it's bitten them, right? And I noticed that missiles were coming from other countries. It wasn't just, it just wasn't from there, right? And if you've ever thought we were close to having a large conflict, this is the closest.
this, you're 100% correct, and I've been saying this now for a few days.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, ever since it happened. Because the thing is this, right? Yes, they want to bring about this new world order. And I hate to use that term.
The
Great
WEF's version of Great Reset, New World Order, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. But the Great Reset, right? All these things. So you have to ask yourself, well, how could that possibly come about? My generation, right? We actually work for a living. No offense to anyone else, but and I've worked for 40 years. I've worked for 40 years, and I've worked for a number of years, 7 days a week, okay, in 2 or 3 different jobs. And I'm not trying to paint, myself as this great hero or whatever. It's just what I did. It's just what I had to do, right? And I did. So I did it. But there's no way I'm going to give my stuff up. I'm just going to give you my stuff. Are you crazy? I
will own nothing, Mickey, and you will be happy.
Yeah, and I'll be happy. Give me my soma. Come on here, right in the vein. Yeah, straight in,
there's
baby.
Some room on my butt.
In fact, I was going to talk about Trank. Let's talk about Trank on Sunday.
Soma patches. I want some.
Yeah, but Trank is scary, man. Trank is super scary. But So how then, right? In my mind, there were different avenues to get there. I mean, a pandemic is good. We had that. That's good. And it showed us what the population will take. And the population will take a lot. A lot. And that's really all they needed to know, right? Now you've got a war brewing in the most volatile region on the planet. Why is it the most volatile? Because 3 major world religions call Jerusalem home. Right? Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, of course. But it's not only that, but it's also in one of the most resource-rich regions of the world. It's in the cradle of civilization of the world, or at least Western civilization, as far as that is concerned. It is also at the nexus point of Africa, Asia, and Europe. Okay? You can't get much more central than that area on the planet. And everybody, Russia in the north, China sort of in the northeast, right? India to the sort of the east, together with Pakistan, etc. Then in the south, well, it's certainly the Saudis, and then and then from the west, Africa and Europe and America, obviously always being there with the carrier groups, right? But it is a critical nexus point, and if you have 300,000 soldiers marching into Gaza. In the next, most analysts are tipping Saturday or Sunday to march in.
But I believe it won't be Sunday.
Probably not. Having said that, though, there are people all over the world, Israelis, flying back into Israel to enlist. So the numbers are being boosted, right? Now Hamas knew this was going to happen because this has always been the response. But Hamas has never launched as sophisticated an attack as this. But if 300,000 soldiers march into Gaza, where there's 2 million Palestinians, right, already pretty much in horrible circumstances.
No water, no gas, no electricity.
None of that. Back to the Stone Age. Now, the death toll is going to be horrendous. And if Hezbollah sees this, no matter how much Iran might not want to get involved.
Want to get involved? I'm sure they're currently arming their weapons.
Oh, they're arming. But see, the thing is this. Once you start down this route...
Oh, yeah. It's a one-way trip.
That's it. No battle plan survives contact with the enemy. That's the truth. That's what happens. That is pretty much true for all areas of your life.
That's right.
And once people start in on each other, because Iran obviously is right now very much supporting Russia as well, right? So Russia and Iran and Saudi Arabia might come in on the side of Hamas because Hezbollah is supported by Iran. How blurred will the lines get? I don't know. Will the Shias and the Sunnis? Will they work together? I don't know. Are they going to be able to work together? Because don't forget, one of the most brutal wars in the region in recent history was the Iran-Iraq conflict. Shias versus Sunnis, more or less, kind of, sort of, but not really, right? And in fact, it didn't work out the way Iran thought, because they thought that the majority parties in Iraq would turn cold and come over to Iran. It didn't happen that way.
And so West Bank, Becky, is now sealed. Did you know?
Of course
that?
it is.
Yeah.
Well, I think
exit.
the West. I think there's still a connection to Jordan that you can get into. I think there's still a.
No, I think they closed it off.
They closed the
Yeah,
Jordan.
I was watching that today.
Okay, that's new news to me. Okay, cool. Well, that's not cool, but that's actually horrible. So you've got millions of Palestinians. Well, defenseless, pretty much, awaiting what's going to happen. And Benjamin Netanyahu, Bibi, says no Hamas member will survive.
That's right.
Now, yeah, it's hyperbole. It's a nonsense statement, because you can't kill everybody. But that's pretty dire if you think about it. And apparently, Israel has got the fourth most sophisticated and powerful army in the world.
That's true.
So, what can we expect? I don't know. All we know is that Hezbollah is militarily much stronger than Hamas. So they've got tens of thousands of rockets pointing at Israel out of the Bekaa Valley.
Doesn't everyone that surrounds Israel have rockets pointed at Israel?
Not Egypt.
Ah.
Not Egypt. And not since Egypt got its ass handed to itself by the Israelis. Would they take advantage of the situation if it looked like Israel was losing? You bet your bottom dollar they would. They would march right up through the Sinai and into Israel. The Golan Heights out of the north, they would come through the Bekaa Valley. Israel would be, sheer numbers. The Arabs have it. Sheer numbers. Technology and grit and training and professionalism. The Israelis are ahead. But they're not alone. Americans are there, right?
So I've got something to add at this point. The battle zone, or the theatre, is not isolated to Gaza Strip. It's not isolated to Israel. From what I've heard in the media, talking this up, spruiking even, if you will, is that the splinter cells around the world, in all the supporting countries, that are going to attack their host country. This is what's in the media right now.
Now, that makes sense on many levels. Because if you can't strike at your enemy, militarily, like with might, you have to resort to terrorist or guerrilla warfare. And being a freedom fighter and a terrorist is really just a matter of perspective. Because, again, one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter.
That's right.
It is really... It's that simple. And ultimately, you're right, Dave. Whoever wins is going to write the history.
That's right.
So
America is saying that they've been flooding over the border, and it is a pre-planned flood. It's also assisted by currently the America's left government, not closing any of the borders or even looking for paperwork or whatever. No one cares. And there was a comment by one of the media outlets. I can't. So don't shout at me because I don't remember which one it was. You'll probably work it out. And that was, they keep reminding people today about Japanese internment camps during World War II. And what would that look like today? And that was a really good message to those people who aren't aware of those and what the situation was. In Australia, I think the Opera House, after the first night of the invasion from Hamas into Israel, the Opera House, the Sydney Opera House, was adorned by projection the Israeli flag. And Palestinians in Sydney got together and let off fireworks and flares and that at the steps of the Opera House in disagreement with the Australian government's respect to Israel. And most of the people doing it were the 18 to 35 fighting age males. And when that occurred, I thought, if they've got their cell phones on their person, they've just given themselves away.
Of course.
Because you know where everyone is by cell phone. And if you went there...
Friend and helper.
So if you went there and you were celebrating on behalf of Palestine, then you're probably already on a list.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And there's meant to be another protest this weekend, and they haven't lodged the paperwork correctly. Because in Australia, you've got to lodge paperwork to get approval to have safety when you have your march. And that means you can occupy a street and march from one location to another. You must assemble at a certain location. It's all planned out so the police know, and they can help you get there safely in your march. And they've done none of that. And they said, well, all we can do is if they use the footpaths, it's lawful. We can't stop them. So we're in some very shaky times right now, and that's the reason, Mackie, why I've echoed yours and my view on this being the closest to a conflict the world's seen since the last one.
Since the last one. Look, Dave is right. This is now a conflict that could easily spiral out of control, and in fact, because of how it happened. Not that an attack happened, but how it happened. So professional and with no resistance, not even the hint of an inkling that Israel knew this was coming, right? And Egypt saying, "No, we tried to warn you, buddies. Let's ignore that. Let's just let it happen." Now, who benefits? Cui bono? In the old Roman question, cui bono? Who benefits? Would Netanyahu benefit? Maybe, yeah. Would cement his power. He would be the savior of Israel if he defeats Hamas in many ways, right? Other people would benefit. I mean, a war is beneficial to many, many people. Never the people that are fighting it, and never the people that are at the ground zero.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Never them. Everybody else, they stand to make trillions. Let's be very clear here, right? Because the Hamas and the Hezbollah, they don't build these rockets; they buy them too. They're being financed. That's right. There's money people. There. There's money, right? People are making money here out of death, and that's just it's just what it is. So there'd be a lot of money to be made. Then later rebuilding, blah blah blah, all that, right?
Oh, golden.
Golden. So. Yeah, so this is from that point of view. It's a no-brainer. Let's do it, right? It's a good opportunity. Look at the share price.
Look at our fuel price going up already.
Oh, well, bingo. Exactly. Now, Ukraine did that. Imagine what the war in the Middle East would do to all of that. Now, and don't forget either that the Panama Canal, the Suez Canal is right there.
Shipping lanes
right there.
Halted. International shipping on pause.
The Persian Gulf is a spit away, right?
That's right. No one's going to want to risk their assets through there.
No. And
Africa's going to be real popular. Southern Africa.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you. And the thing is, once this starts, right? You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know who's going to jump in with whom. Okay.
Because this is the instant. Let's sieve for parties. Right, 2-party system. Let's sieve all the players and see where they lie.
Yeah, and America and the Western Allies have spent a lot of military capital, hardware, and money to support the Ukraine. So they're not strung out, but they're not as ready, I guess, as you might think they would be, right? Because a lot of expense and material has gone into the Ukraine.
That's true. Mackie, the thing that gets me, though, is talking about this military expense and positioning. that the UK, at the beginning of last year, or whenever the fighting in Ukraine began, immediately announced that they're going into wartime production of munitions.
Yeah.
So, if I had to throw a coin in the air and catch it and slap it on the back of my hand and call whether it's heads or tails, this is it planned? Was there forewarning? Did everyone, all the players who knew what was going to happen, knew? Or is this just happenstance and it's just happened and now they've got to all react? I flicked the coin up in the air and what I see is it's planned. That they knew.
I can't think of anything else but planned. I can't. Because it was too, no offense to Hamas, but it was too good. Okay, it was just too good for Hamas to have done it the way they did, and Israel not being able to. I mean, okay, so 1,500 Hamas fighters are dead. Let's say that's a real number, for argument's sake, right? That means at least that many people knew about it. That something was happening. Mm-hmm. At least. Plus,
say 10% above that in management.
Yeah. Oh, maybe, maybe more. Who knows? But the point is, a bucket load of people knew about this. You can keep a secret with a handful of people. You can. That's why most of things that you work on is pyramidal
very
in structure.
Small silos. Yeah.
And only very few, if not only one person, knows all. Right. That's just how we've organized ourselves. This is, in its sophistication, unprecedented.
And without technology.
Exactly. They had gliders, Dave.
Oh, well, yeah, I saw they had parasails.
Yes.
Like the man with the fan on his back and the parachute. Yep.
Yes, I mean, and they hit 22 locations simultaneously. Mm-hmm. 22.
That's pretty organized.
That's D-Day organized, my
friend.
Okay,
we're gonna synchronize watches. We're gonna do what now?
What? What's the watch? The sun is out. The sun is not here. I need my sundial watch. What?
Yeah.
What's going on? By the morning, it's about 3 o'clock, I think.
I'm under the Earth's sun now.
Right now. Missed it. We'll synchronize by eclipse. That's what we're going to do. This. Okay, that'll work.
Well, you know what? All this, Mickey, comes into line with the 4 blood moons.
It does, doesn't it? Interestingly.
Yep. They came about, and now it's the conflict.
Yeah.
It's almost like all the premonitions are coming true. It's kind of falling into place. And I was telling a friend today about the Temple Mount and the prophecy around when Israel gets possession of the Temple Mount again. That's World War III.
Well,
it's only a prophecy, and it's like 400-500 years old. But hey, is that going to happen this time around?
Look, maybe. Like I said, it's an extremely volatile area. But see, now we're talking about religion now, right? Which is completely irrational, in my opinion.
That's right.
And I don't think anybody would make a counter argument. No religious person would say it's religious is anyhow a rational argument. It's not. It's belief. It's faith. It's not rational. And as soon as that happens, all other stuff goes out the window. Because you no longer have a rational argument. What do you argue about? No, there's 12 angels on a needle pin. No, there's 50. No, there is no needle pin.
What's a spoon?
What's a spoon? There's no spoon. I'm sorry, I got to tell this joke. It's from Coming to America. A man goes to a restaurant, orders the soup.
I love this.
Sits down, gets the soup. Oh, it smells great. What a wonderful soup. The waiter goes, bon appetit. The gentleman goes, thank you so much. And a couple of minutes later, he raises his hand, calls over his waiter. The waiter goes, yes. What's wrong? Well, taste the soup. Is it too cold? Says the waiter. Too hot? Is it too spicy? Taste the soup, says the man. Well, is it? Is there a fly in it? Did you find a hair? Is the bowl dirty, sir?
You've been coming here 12 years. You can tell me if something's wrong. Tell me what's wrong.
Taste the soup, says the man. Okay, where's the spoon? Aha!
Aha.
Aha!
And I love
what
that
do you
that's
know
Eddie
from
Murphy.
funny? I think it's hilarious. But the point is this: there's a spoon? There is no spoon, right? Matrix. Hello, there is no spoon. I wonder if they were thinking of coming to America when they wrote that line. There is no spoon. But I hope they were. I really hope they were. But that's really. I know that's really where we are, though, because you can't. I mean, there's no rationality in religious thinking, but that's how you rally people behind you. You talk to their heart, not to their mind. It's the feelings, the emotions that matter. And you know what's going to happen when you send 300?
Their hopes, their dreams, make you talk to those.
All of that, exactly. The non-rational bits. But if you send 300,000 soldiers with tanks, I would imagine, into Gaza, looking to root out Hamas, the bloodbath will be unimaginable. And I don't know that Hezbollah could just stand by, and I don't know that the other Arabs or Muslims, for that matter, could stand by. I don't know. Should we be avoiding large congregations and public places? Yes, you should. If you don't have to go into a crowd, don't. Please. This is not the time to go out into crowds. Okay? This is not the time to seek out multitudes of people, especially in the Western world. I suggest you don't do that.
Yeah, and I'd start tomorrow and just avoid it for a while. Right?
Don't go. Because will it happen? I hope not. I hope not. But looking at the past, we know that these sleeper cells exist. We know that terrorism has happened before. We know they used trucks, for crying out loud, the last time it was really big, right? Remember that? That was horrendous. Can it happen again? Absolutely. You cannot safeguard against that kind of warfare. It's not possible. And with something like this, phew.
And worse still, Mackie, is when we're having, at the top of the show, we're having conversations about who do I identify as?
Yes.
And this is going on. I mean, at some point you've got to choose what your priority is.
I know.
And Mackie, I keep saying this. In Russia, the school kids line up in a queue, dismantle an AK-47, and then they move aside and join the back of the queue, and the next person rebuilds it. And then once it's rebuilt, they move aside to the back of the line, and the next person has to dismantle it. That's honestly the kind of thing that we should be training people right now. Not as let's have unisex bathrooms and choose your gender identity at whatever time, right? When you're 5. They did an experiment where they had $1,000 in cash or like a little pile of chocolates, and they asked a child, I think it was like 6. He goes, which you prefer? And he went for the chocolates.
Of course they did.
And they go, they're not able to make a rational decision at this age, and they shouldn't be making gender identification decisions at this age.
It's nonsense.
Yeah, completely.
It's I don't even know what you call it, because nonsense is not strong enough. It's ludicrous. That's it. Ludicrous speed.
Oh, I like that. The Fleece Surf just posted something really awesome.
Oh,
I'm going to paste it into our chat so we have it.
Fill in your boxes.
Yeah,
that.
that's
oh,
that's pretty good.
I do like it. You know what?
Can't mention it on air, but yeah, thank you very much.
Someone was thinking. Someone was thinking. Maybe we should we put some international locations in there as well. See what we come up with.
That's our bingo card for this weekend.
I like your darkness, my friend. It reflects my dark passenger beautifully.
1 minute.
Yes, and that's, geez, the time goes. Look, we do hope that you got something out of this hour. last week, actually last Tuesday. I think it might have been Fleece, maybe Comet. Someone said this is the fastest hour week, which is great. We like to hear it. We would hate to bore you out of your mind. And it's a good format. I think 1 hour is good for us to have our stream of consciousness, Dave and I, just filling the airwaves. Now, this has been Plato's Cave. Thank you so much for allowing us into your lives for a little while. And don't go anywhere. Something is coming up. But most importantly, be safe.